I really struggle with people who want to be positive all the time. And it's so funny because, there's a realtor that I know, and I'm like, that I was trying to, I was trying to recruit her. I've known her for years. She's been in business for many, many years, and she's always with that same thing, like, oh no, you're too negative. You're too negative. You're too this. I said, how am I negative? Because I'm telling the truth, because I'm saying
the amount of work that you put in.
So what do you think about, so, when you're a broker, you have your own branding, you have your own company and everything, right? And when you hire realtors, you want your realtors to brand your company, right?
Right.
And the reason that you want them to brand your company is because the whole reason that you come together, as realtors under a brokerage, right, is to make that broker and make that brand grow, make it big, make it a powerhouse. Everybody helping everybody, right?
Right.
Now, a lot of times you have these realtors that want to brand themselves. Okay, I don't have a problem with you branding yourself, right? With Flor Velasquez, right? Realtor, right? Mm-hmm. But what do you think about these realtors running around, right? That are with different brokerages, and then they have like their own name, right? Like such and such Realty and such Realty team and such whatever. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, for one, right, legally, I don't think you can do that. I think it's almost illegal for you to do that, right? Because unless your broker signs off on you having a team, you can't label yourself as a team or even have a different logo. Mm-hmm. So first of all, you're not supposed to do that. Now, what I think you're really asking me is, how do I feel about the realtor branding themselves versus constantly pushing the company, right? So I think this goes back to what people used to think worked back or what actually worked back in the days, right? Back in the days, it was important that you pushed your record label, right? Let's say if you were in the music industry, all the rappers shouting out the record labels, within the rap songs. Why? Because it meant something. It was very important who you were with, because that actually showed what kind of person you were.
Yeah, credibility,
right? Too. Exactly, it's credibility, right? It's who was everybody with Def Jam, right? It showed who was everybody who was with Puff, right? So that's the same mentality that I think like newer, like older people in this market, like older brokers, they feel that the realtor should constantly push their branding of the company, when it actually does a lot more for the brokerage, for the realtor to create their own personal branding. And it shows a lot more to the fact that they decided to stay with that broker versus pushing this broker nonstop, and you have nothing to show for it. And you're constantly pushing it. The people don't connect with you because it's a brand that they're not with. People connect with you, not with your broker.
Yeah.
Right. So real estate is different. And I think it's changed. I think back in the days, same reason why like Keller Williams, it doesn't work just because you go with Keller Williams doesn't mean you're going to get all the clients. Right. These big brokers, these big names, or if a smaller broker is trying to treat their realtors the way that a big broker does, it doesn't correlate. It doesn't work that way. Right. Unless it's a realtor who already has a massive following, and they're bringing a whole following with them, a brand that they already have, and now they partnered up with a broker, and now it's both of them together. That's different. Like, let's say, for example, like a Ryan Serhant comes to Houston and wants to build a Lionsgate Realty. Both of you branding together is different. But a newer realtor who has like their own following, their own people, their own area, you want them to promote themselves out there and they be the star. Mm-hmm. And then everybody's like, oh, well, they're with Lionsgate Realty. Well, why are they with Lionsgate Realty? They have such a big of a following. Why wouldn't they go anywhere else?
Yeah.
So that's the way that I see it.
And that was my point, right? I don't mind realtors branding themselves, branding their names. I mean, even if you want to have your own company crest, right, or your family crest, or your own little icon or whatever, if you want to, right? I don't have a problem with that. But Vic does, so don't do it. But I don't have a problem with it because I really don't care. The thing about it is that I don't like all these real estate companies, right? They have their own real estate company, they have their own branding, and then they have a realtor under them that's branding a whole different logo, a whole different everything, which, like you said, it is illegal. You're not supposed to be doing it. Or not, not illegal.
You got to get the sign off.
Yeah, you can't. You're not supposed to do it. There's some guidelines that you have to follow that people don't follow. And the thing about it is that you're essentially undermining your own brokerage, your own your own career, really, because when you're with a broker and you're branding yourself, right? I'm such and such, with such and such brokerage, right? You're helping that broker uh, be stronger, be bigger, and helps you get to where you need to be at. In other words, when you brand yourself, it's like being in a boat. You're in a well, let me rephrase that. You're in a ship, right? What is the point of you, being dragged on the side of that ship in a lifeboat?
Mhm.
Instead
of being on the ship.
Instead of being on the ship, that lifeboat is never going to amount to the ship that you're riding next to until you let go. And when you let go, you're starting a whole new company on your own and trying to get to that level that your broker is. But you're never going to get to any kind of level, trying to brand yourself or trying to make your own logos and trying to make your own,
and you know what? It goes back to your point that you're saying right now, right? I think the problem here is that you have two views, right? You have the brokers who are already in place who are trying to grow, and they're like, well, why aren't you helping me, brand, to continue to grow so we can all eat? And then you have the individual agent who's trying to grow and they're trying to compete with their broker when they don't understand you're not the broker.
No,
brand yourself as the person for the people who want to
Yes.
work with you. Your company is along with you. They're the one looking out for you, right? So whenever you have an event, you're there. Any of the prices that you get, you share them. It's all company branding. But what's the point of you being with a Keller Williams and never showing anything about that you're with Keller Williams or with a boutique builder?
So
it doesn't make any sense. There has to be a happy medium.
yeah. So the thing is this: Keller Williams doesn't really care if you brand yourself or if you do any of that stuff. And I wouldn't either. If you were paying me yearly fees, if you were paying me desk fees, if you were paying me, what's called technology fees, if you were paying me all those things, I would let you build your little company, within my company, right? But that's not what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is, I'm giving you a home. I'm giving you a place to build yourself as a brand under Lionsgate Realty. And I'm essentially showing you how to do this from the ground up. I'm not exploiting, your talent. A lot of times, there's some realtors out there, okay, making a lot of money, and you look at what they're doing. They're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. Okay,
Consistency.
that's all they're doing, and so they're selling homes, right? Do they understand contracts? No. Do they understand do they understand investments? No. Do they understand property management? No. Do they understand anything other than knocking on the door or doing a video and finding a person who wants to buy a home and just pretty much doing the same thing over and over and over?
One-trick pony.
They don't. It's a one-trick pony, just like you said. And the thing about it is that, and it's funny because you see like some of these guys, they're so successful, making so much money, right? And then you see them, they give speeches, right? And the things that they say is like, what are you talking about? It just shows how mature. Sometimes I even feel sorry for them. I'm like, oh my God, these guys, they're just being used and thrown out there. And these big companies don't care. They're getting all their fees, and they're getting people joining the company because everybody thinks that they're going to be as successful as that one freaking real estate agent. And it just doesn't happen.
But whose fault is that? Whose fault is it?
Honestly, it's the brokers. Well, you know what?
No, it's not. It's not the broker's fault. It's not the superstar's fault. It's the person who wants to come into real estate and they want it to be easy.
Yes.
You're like, oh, that dude's a superstar. He does a few videos and he's blown up. You don't see the back end of what it took for him to build that.
Exactly.
It took a long time for them to build that, and now you're just trying to come in and copy exactly what they're doing. It's not going to work.
But they see that, I feel like out of agents that are like too full of themselves, that are just, wanting to have like the cloud, everything on them, and they're not really, showing that it's not an easy process.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Who was it? Who'd you say it was? Oh,
Who's that guy?
Agents
Who's that girl? Who's that guy? That girl?
Who is it?
No, but just
They-
going back what Florida was saying is like, identifying as your own brand. Like she's part of Lionsgate Realty, but her brand is Land and Ranch. And basically people are going to go with her because that's, who they like or who they kind of connect with.
Yeah.
So also with that is like they see her online and I like what she does, but would it be different that she's all suited up and online, but then when they meet her, she goes in with her sweatpants on and just tennis shoes on, and they're not what expected. So she keeps that consistency of her brand connected, so they see her in person, and oh yeah, she's just the way she is in social media. So big ups to just doing your brand and following, and just not an image.
And I think it is a major disservice for anybody to come into this business and think that they're going to be able to emulate the top producing agent, whatever it may be, whether they're cold calling, letter writing, doing social media, doing YouTube. It doesn't matter what they're doing. Building connections, selling luxury, which is the one that I hate the most. I get people who come in here and they're like, "Oh, I want to sell luxury real estate." I'm like, first of all, you don't come from a background of luxury. Not that you can't work your way into it, but what do you know?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
No, to be serious though.
Yeah.
What do you know about luxury? Have you ever talked to somebody who has $1 million plus, who makes money? Like, have you ever talked? Can you hold a conversation with that person?
So that's actually true.
Not saying you can't work your way up there. I've never
you can't work your way up, but yeah,
but you're not going to start there.
A luxury person, very seldom. I've maybe had 2 people that have come into this business and have sold luxury homes, have sold 1.5 million his first deal.
But they come from that background.
But they come from that background.
Well, they have those connections.
Yeah, his father owns a $1.5 million home, and so and a lot of people don't understand that. They want to come here and say, "I want to sell luxury. I want to do commercial." And I'm like, look, commercial's not that lucrative. Where you're gonna start from the ground up in commercial is gonna be dirt work. It's gonna be working with people that don't understand. They probably understand less about commercial than you. And it's tough. It's really tough. Flo, you've done a few of those deals, right? Yeah. And so the thing is that Vic actually, he's really good because he does all the interviews and he asks people, right? He when he's interviewing, he tells the realtors, he's like, hey, what are you expecting to make here? What are you trying to do? What are you this? What are you that? Oh, right away, right? And I think it's just an Instagram, right? Oh, I want to make 100,000. I want to make 200,000. I want to make $500,000 a year. I already, I had this and that and the other. And so then Vic says, okay, so what do you do now? And they're like, oh yeah, man, I work at, at Office Depot, or I work at, I'm a 2-room guy at Chevron or whatever, and you're like, okay, so essentially you make, 30 grand a year, right? And he's like, yeah, so that's probably what you're going to make coming into this business, and people get upset. People are like, oh, well, why, why do you say that? You're saying like, I'm not good enough. I'm not this. No, it's just a person that already makes 100,000 a year, wherever he's at, has a certain work ethic, has a certain, goal already, has an expectation of his life, and so when he comes into this business, he tries to figure it out so that he makes sure that he makes that type of money. So it never fails. People that come in that are making 100,000 a year, 150,000 a year, they usually come in and almost make that. Sometimes they make 80, sometimes they make 100, just depends, right? And then the people that are making 20,000 a year, making 15,000 a year, whatever, they don't hit the mark, right? And those are usually the people that'll make a $7,000 commission, $8,000 commission, and then the next month they're in freaking they're on a cruise, or they're in at Disney World,
Yeah.
So it just
imagine when I make a sell.
Yeah, it's different.
Imagine
Yeah.
when I make a sell.
It's
We weren't talking about you.
We weren't talking about you. I'm just saying it's just a different person, It's
But you don't think that the agents not brand a lot of agents not branding off like their brokerage. It's coming from the part that the agent doesn't correlate with like the mission of the brokerage that they're at.
I agree with that. Yes, that's true.
I don't even think these realtors understand what a mission statement is.
They don't.
It's not that. It's not that they don't align with the statement. It's that they want to be the boss.
Yeah.
You can't come into a new industry and want to be the boss day one.
Yeah,
and that's
the
the problem. It's not that they don't understand the statement. They don't know what a mission statement is.
That goes back to what he always says.
That's a generation.
It is.
Issue.
It is.
Not. But go ahead. Sorry, what you saying?
No, I feel like it goes back to like what you say, like pretty much like the basics, like humbling yourself, like learning the business, like like asking questions.
You know what? It's funny because me and Nate actually always have this discussion, right? Because Nate always tells me, like, I don't wear my gear. I wear my gear when it's appropriate. I don't wear it out and about like I do.
You don't wear your gear.
I have a conversation after this.
Even though it's made more money.
Whenever I go to the gym, I have my shirts on. every now and again.
But it's also, I feel like you wear because you're, you have pride of your company,
Because
who you're
you
with,
believe
and your
in it.
culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if it's like
Exactly.
any other company that, corporate company, they don't care about you, you're just a number, you're just an employee, then of course you're not really.
Giovanni has never. Giovanni has made the most money he's ever made in his life with Lionsgate Realty, and he won't even wear a hat.
I still wear my Exxon hat. Yeah.
He wears a lion. He
Yeah,
wears a
my
lion
Lionsgate
skin at
Realty
least.
hat.
It's nostalgic. It's nostalgic.
I
to
still
him.
drink out of my
Giovanni
STD
the
cup.
Realtor.
Yeah.
So wait,
Go
listen,
ahead,
this,
go ahead.
and I might be being biased, right? Because I thought I invented or I came up with Lionsgate Realty, and it's my baby, and I've been nurturing it and putting it together. And so I feel like, hey, you know what? I'm bringing you in. I'm bringing you into my to my circle.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you how to make money in real estate, right? You should be proud of being with us. You should be proud. You should be wearing your gear. I take pride in you. How many times have I gotten after you, bro? Or how many times, all of you, how many times I got after you? I say, hey, you know what, man, what's going on? Why are your numbers slow? Why is this? Why is that? Hey, get out there. Let's get it. Like I'm not here just waiting for my monthly fees or waiting for my dues. And and it sucks, because people, oh yeah, I have people say, oh yeah, you just want commission. That's why you're pushing me. I said, look.
You want to see everybody
I
grow.
said, look, let me tell you something real quick.
Who says? I want to know who said that.
We'll give you a list.
I'll give you a list of some of the people. Most of them are not even with us anymore. But they're like, you want to make commission? I go, I want to make my small draw my small cut that I make from you after I invested in you.
Yeah.
And the thing is this, each one of my realtors costs me money because of everything that I hook you up with, right? That I set you up with, not hook you up, set you up with, right? And so if it takes you 6 months to make money, I'm 6 months out of money. And so when you hit your first, and usually your first commission, your first commission that you make in our split, I'm just, probably making back what I invested in you. And a lot of times too, like, I invest in realtors. A realtor comes to me and says, hey, you know what? I think this is what's going to be the next thing. I think this is what we should do. I think this is what's going to make me money. Okay, how much is it? It's this much. Okay, I'm going to put into it. And whenever you get your commissions, I'll get my money back. And I'll invest into it, and it doesn't work, But trial and error, there's some, and we've actually done some things that do work, and we still use them, So it's an investment for us. We're growing. Our company is growing, and our realtors grow with the company.
I can vouch for that, definitely.
We like that.
I can vouch for that definitely because, opening up that acquisitions team and acquisition department, of course, it's going to take, time and, trial and error, or we're going to be doing. But of course, that's what we like, that we have the backing of Lionsgate Realty, Nate, Vic, and they're always giving us advice and feedback. And that's what we love, and that's what makes me proud of being on this team, Lionsgate Realty.
I think it all goes back to reciprocity, like you being proud of where you're at, and your team putting your name out there too. Like I feel like not a lot, like all the time nowadays, like other agents, they're like, again, too full of themselves that they cannot accept that, hey, he has my back, like my broker has my back, and I am where I am. I was able to make this amount of money this year because somebody is behind me. Like I'm not doing this by myself.
They just forget what they come from. Like,
and that's why I always give a shout out to Giovanni and Jennifer, and always grateful for always the backing that we always have. So,
but a lot of times too, right? Like you see these realtors who have that attitude, their broker or their team or their manager has the same attitude. That's why they align with them. That's why they stay there, because they have the same personality. And they all you hear stories all the time, right? Nobody in that brokerage likes each other. They're all doing stuff behind their backs. Yeah. But yet they're all still there, right? Hyping each other up, like if they're doing numbers and nobody's actually doing numbers, right? But you come over here, ET got a taste of it earlier today. Like you come over here, you're gonna get dogged for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make sure. Yeah, you're gonna make sure that you make it. That you're gonna be making your money. It doesn't matter. I mean, how many times have we told you, like we've gotten after you before we tell you good job? There's a lot more getting after you, and then you get your good job, but then you also get your Realtor of the Year award. Yeah. It's different over here. We're not hyping each other up. Like it's almost like you can never really do enough. I know it sounds bad, but maybe it's because we're Hispanic here.
You can see your potential.
Makes you grow. Like
exactly.
You have that person that is always, oh yeah, good job, you're doing great. I mean, really, are you doing great, or do you have that person that is just cheering you on because they want to be cool and they want to be positive? I mean,
So that's one of the things that I really struggle with. I really struggle with people who want to be positive all the time. And it's so funny because there's a realtor that I know, and I'm like, that I was trying to recruit her. I've known her for years. She's been in business for many years, and she's always with that same thing. Like, oh no, you're too negative. You're too negative. You're too this. I said, how am I negative? Because I'm telling the truth, because I'm saying this, or because I'm saying that. There's people that don't want to come into the podcast because they feel like I'm gonna dog them or I'm gonna burn them, and I'm like, no, not at all. And I've had people come on to the podcast and they're like, oh man, I thought you were gonna say this. I thought you were gonna embarrass me. I thought you were gonna dig on me. I said, what are you talking about? Oh, because you dig on such and such, or you mess with such and such. And I said, I mess with Giovanni. We mess with each other. We make fun of each other. We play, but I said it's really it's positive. We really help each other. We really lean on each other for our success. And it's not always positive. It's not.